And to finally complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Apart from Metro Manila, the Department of Health expands the declaration of measles outbreak in other parts of Luzon region as well as in Central and Western Visayas regions. Meanwhile, the health has recorded more than 1,600 cases of measles nationwide since January this year. Joanano tells us why.
Due to a huge spike in the number of measles cases in other parts of the country, the Department of Health has also declared measles outbreak in other parts of Luzon as well as in Western and Central Visayas regions. This is in addition to the National Capital Region that was first declared under measles outbreak by the DOH. This is 550% higher compared to only 20 cases in the same period last year. The Health Department is also closely monitoring the increasing number of measles cases in Ilocos, Cagayan Valley, Mimaropa, and in Bicol regions.
We are expanding the outbreak from the Metro Manila to other regions as cases have increased in the past weeks, and to strengthen surveillance of new cases and alert mothers and caregivers to be more vigilant.
In San Lazaro Hospital in Manila, a total of 1,550 patients with measles have been admitted since January until February 6 this year. Most of them are children ages 2 years old and above, but the youngest patient currently confined in the hospital is 2-month-old baby Princess, not her real name. According to her mother, Renaline, her baby got infected with measles because of her.
Ako po kasi yung nauna, last week, ako po yung nauna. Tapos, ang pagkagaling ko po, siya naman po, mga ilang days lang po siya po. Nilagnat po siya, tapos po may lumabas na po na rashes sa kanya. Tapos sinugod ko na po sa ospital.
Based on the hospital's data, a total of 56 deaths due to measles have been recorded since January this year. But this is not yet in tally with the DOH recent record since the agency is still collecting and validating reports from other hospitals. But the Health Department discloses that most of the patients infected with measles is yet to get their anti-measles vaccination. Once again, the Department of Health urged the public to get vaccinated and trust the efficacy of the government's immunization program. The agency is currently intensifying its awareness campaign and plans to do a house-to-house visit to promote the government's immunization program. The Department of Health also revealed that a total of 1.8 million children were not able to get their vaccination from 2017 to 2018 after the dengue vaccine controversy.
So wag na po tayo mag-alinlangan, wag na po tayo magdalawang isip. Kung nakita ninyo at alam ninyo na hindi pa ho nakakapagpabakuna ang inyong anak, dali na po natin sa pinakamalapit na health center. Kung hindi po, sa bandang huli ang pagsisisi. Kung hindi po, kaawa-awa naman ang inyong mga anak. Bakit po natin ipagkakait dahil lamang sa isang naging kontrobersiya, bunsod po ng dengue vaccine.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Meanwhile, 31 private schools in Metro Manila have filed petitions seeking to increase tuition and other fees for the next school year. The said schools have cited the second wave of tax reform, which prompted higher inflation and the additional salary of teachers as reasons for the tuition increase. According to the Department of Education or DepEd, a school seeking to hike fees should prove that 70% of the said increase will go to teachers' salaries, 20% for infrastructure development, and 10% for profit. The request must also undergo consultation with parents and will be subjected to the scrutiny of the Education Department. Last year, at least 200 out of 300 schools in Metro Manila who requested for tuition fee hikes for the same reason got approved.
Naman natin, medyo tumataas yung inflation rate, and they need to operate within a certain norm. And they see it that the most available step is to have a tuition hike. Of the 31 that we have right now, of course they are applying for tuition fee increase for purposes of one, increasing the salary of their teachers, personnel, and as well as improvement of their facilities.
In other news, the Senate is set to vote tomorrow on the Bicameral Conference Committee's report on the 2019 proposed national budget. This is after the senators conducted a caucus on Wednesday night to discuss issues on the alleged pork barrel insertions in the budget proposal. The government has been running on a reenacted budget since the start of the year after Congress failed to approve the 2019 budget before the December 2018 deadline. The budget's approval dragged on following allegations of insertions into the proposed 2019 funding for the Department of Public Works and Highways.
Malaking epekto nito sa ekonomiya natin pag natuloy itong reenacted budget. So, kumbaga, by tomorrow, hopefully, meron na tayong 2019 budget.
Meanwhile, Senator Panfilo Lacson is hopeful that President Rodrigo Duterte and his economic managers will scrutinize the final version of the budget and that the chief executive will veto the line items which are clearly pork insertions. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, has deferred the canvassing of votes on the second round of plebiscite for the Bangsamoro Organic Law. This is pending the arrival of certificates of canvass from the 6 towns of Lanao del Norte and 67 barangays of North Cotabato. In the partial unofficial result of the second round of plebiscite, yes votes have dominated the early results in Lanao del Norte and North Cotabato. The poll body estimated a 70 to 78% of voter turnout. COMELEC, serving as the National Plebiscite Board of Canvassers, will reconvene on Monday, February 11, to resume the tallying of certificates of canvass.
And will resume its session on February 11, 2019 at 2 p.m. We expect to finish our canvass by that time. Meantime, the reception and custody group will receive the COCs as they come and report to the supervisory group and secretariat. So ordered.
The Congress has ratified the Bicameral Conference Committee report for the proposed Safe Spaces Act, which seeks to criminalize catcalling and other gender-based sexual harassment. The measure also seeks to penalize sexist slurs and unwanted comments on one's appearance and requests for personal details. Using of words, gestures, or actions that ridicule on the basis of sex, gender, or sexual orientation, the persistent telling of sexual jokes, use of sexual demand, and any statement that invades a person's personal space will also be punished under the said bill. Once enacted into law, violators may face up to 6 years of imprisonment and a fine of not more than 100,000 pesos. The ratified version of the bill is yet to be transmitted to the Office of the President for signature. UNTV sets another milestone in Philippine broadcast industry with the use of a remote-controlled underwater vehicle, or ROV drone. This can be used in exploring the beauty of aquatic bodies and the problems that water creatures are suffering as a result of urbanization, such as in Manila Bay. On Wednesday, the UNTV underwater drone explored Manila Bay's seabed to reveal the extent of the damage in its underwater environment. UNTV's underwater ROV drone can reach as deep as 150 feet underwater, but in Manila Bay, the surroundings were already zero visibility when it was just reaching about 10 feet deep. The drone captured an assortment of trash that had taken the place of corals on the seafloor, and not a single sign of life had been seen.
Ang makikita nyo po sa seabed is puro burak, puro maraming mga basura. Katunayan nga, kuya, pag ahon ng drone natin, lahat po ng LEC, ito po, lahat ng LEC natin, itong tatlong LEC, punong-puno ng basura.
Wow. Mabuti, umandar pa.
Puro mga plastic.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources admitted that Manila Bay's seabed has grown mountains of garbage that washed up in the past 40 to 50 years. UNTV pioneered drone journalism in the Philippines in 2013 during the onslaught of Typhoon Yolanda. It is the only TV station that was given 3 licenses, attesting that all drone units of UNTV are safe to use and can be used for commercial purposes like in news broadcasting. And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. Some Venezuelan residents have expressed disappointment and growing desperation over access to U.S. aid shipments after embattled President Nicolas Maduro blocked the border crossing bridge with Colombia amid escalating political dispute. Vincent Arboleda tells us why.
2 tractor trailers remained on the Venezuelan side of the Puente Tiendides border crossing bridge with Colombia in what appears to be an effort to block humanitarian aid from entering the country, according to local reports. U.S. officials on Tuesday said the United States had sent food and medicine to Colombia's border with Venezuela, though it is still unclear how the aid will get past the objections of President Nicolas Maduro, who has blocked shipments in the past. Despite widespread hunger and shortages of staple goods in Venezuela, Maduro vowed to turn back U.S. aid after President Donald Trump's administration last month recognized opposition leader Juan Guaido as the rightful interim ruler of the South American nation. Guaido has slammed Maduro's move of blocking the border crossing bridge with Colombia, calling it an absurd reaction.
We know the containers are traversing. We know the tanks are there. And what we are saying is that it is an absurd reaction by a regime which is not interested in its citizens, and that we're going to do everything we can so that some of this aid gets in.
Desperate Venezuelans asked how they would gain access to U.S. food and medicine aid that are due to arrive via the Colombia border.
It upsets me a bit, and not just me but most people. I think both the opposition and people who support the government view it unfavorably. If a child gets sick and you can get medicine and that person dies, that's sad. So I think sitting down together and reaching a dialogue that is truly peaceful, I think anything can be done.
The prefect from the border municipality of Pedro Maria Urena, Yurli Moreno, asked Venezuelans waiting for aid to be patient, saying protocols needed to be met.
I am asking them for solidarity and patience. The mechanisms are being put in place as they should be, and we can't overstep that because it would set us back, because all the work would be lost.
Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue.
Leaders of the European Union on Wednesday reiterated that the Brexit withdrawal agreement is not open for renegotiation. Speaking at a news briefing along with Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar in Brussels, European Council President Donald Tusk said the EU is not making any new offers to resolve the deadlock over the Brexit deal that failed to make it through the UK Parliament. In January, the House of Commons voted against the deal agreed by the EU and the UK government, and later passed an amendment calling for alternative solutions instead of Irish border backstop clause. UK Prime Minister Theresa May is set to discuss such potential arrangements with President of the European Commission Jean-Claude Juncker on Thursday. The United Kingdom is set to leave the European Union on March 29. U.S. President Donald Trump expects that the territory held by the Islamic State group in Syria and Iraq could be 100% liberated as early as next week. This report explains why. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he expected a formal announcement that the coalition fighting Islamic State militants has reclaimed all the territory previously held by the extremist group. During his speech, Trump also applauded the men and women of the United States military for their remarkable skills and precision throughout the campaign.
They can no longer control schools to impose their vicious ideology on young children. Critically, ISIS also now lacks a significant territorial base from which to launch terrorist attacks against other countries, recruit foreign fighters, and spread havoc across the region. Their land is gone. It's a big factor. Their land is gone.
Trump's decision to withdraw U.S. forces from Syria has prompted some criticism at home from Republican and Democratic lawmakers who fear Islamic State could regain its strength. A top U.S. Army general for the region, Joseph Votel, said in Senate testimony on Tuesday that the group could experience resurgence after a U.S. pullout. But Trump did not back down from his determination to withdraw, adding that they look forward to giving the brave warriors in Syria a warm welcome home.
As I noted in my State of the Union address yesterday, the United States military, our coalition partners, and the Syrian Democratic Forces have liberated virtually all of the territory previously held by ISIS in Syria and Iraq. But I want to wait for the official word. I don't want to say it too early.
He said the achievement of having 100% of the caliphate should be formally announced next week. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue. 2 people were killed and 4 others were trapped under rubble after a building collapsed in Istanbul, Turkey. Meanwhile, residents in New Zealand's South Island have sought shelter at civil defense centers after fleeing their homes. Kat Canlas tells us why.
In Turkey, CCTV footage has captured the dramatic moment when a multi-story building collapses in Istanbul on Wednesday. At least 2 persons were killed and 4 others have been left under rubble after the 8-story residential building collapsed. It was not immediately clear why the building in the Kartal district on the Asian side of the city had collapsed, but local media reported that prosecutors had launched an investigation into the incident. The chairman for Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management Authority said search and rescue operations were underway, adding that additional personnel would be requested from neighboring provinces if necessary. In Brazil, 2 people were killed in Rio de Janeiro after heavy rains and strong winds blasted the Brazilian city on Wednesday. Local media reported at least 2 residents were killed by landslides caused by the downpour. Emergency officials are recommending Rio residents stay inside tonight whilst the wet weather passes. Meteorologists have predicted more rain in Rio until the end of the week. In USA, a fire that broke out after a gas explosion in San Francisco on Wednesday has been contained. The San Francisco Fire Department said 5 buildings were in flames after the fire broke out just after 1 p.m. local time. Some residents in the area were told to leave their homes. Fire Chief Joanne Hayes White said nobody was injured in the incident. And in New Zealand, a bushfire on New Zealand's South Island spread through thousands of hectares, destroying property and forcing the evacuation of about 100 homes. The fire that started at Pigeon Valley in Nelson on Tuesday doubled overnight to spread over 1,870 hectares, according to the Nelson Tasman Emergency Management Office. More than 100 homes have been evacuated or self-evacuated, and people were being sheltered at civil defense centers. Several homes have been burned down, although there have been no reports of casualties or injuries so far. Officials said 12 fire crews worked overnight to control the fire, and 10 helicopters and 2 planes were being used on Wednesday to control the blaze. It could take up to 4 days to extinguish the fire, according to firefighters.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kat Dumaraos, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. A park in New Delhi, India is making a buzz as it features recreated iconic monuments of the world using scrap metal. Let's find out why in this report.
A group of 7 artists have come together to create replicas of a set of monuments known as the 7 Wonders of the World using scrap metal in New Delhi. The initiative is part of Indian government's Clean India project, aimed at spreading awareness about discarded materials in the city.
Delhi generates a lot of scrap, especially from vehicles. Every day, a lot of vehicle scrap is rolled out.
The Indian capital's South Delhi Municipal Corporation provided materials from scrap yards to make the replicas.
The plan of South Delhi Municipal Corporation was to transfer scrap at bad places to good places and to spread awareness. Whatever park, installations, and other things we have made are out of scrap.
The replicas are being housed in a park that was formerly a landfill site. The park features metal versions of the Taj Mahal, Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza, Rome's Colosseum, the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Robbie de Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news, February 7, 2019. On behalf of Rheena, Villamor-Camara, and Angelo Castro III, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
UNTV, your public service channel.